Hi class, this evening I will be discussing contracts and an example that highlights what can go wrong or right when agreeing to a contract, wrong or right depending upon which side of the contract you're on. June 2nd, 2007, Lynn Ann Poirier and her live-in boyfriend Howard Browning stopped at a convenience store in Sanford, Florida, and as they habitually did, the couple bought lottery tickets and went home and placed both tickets on the mantel above their fireplace. Many years prior, the couple, who loved to regularly try their luck at the lotto, agreed that if either won, they would split the winnings 50-50. As our textbook explains, all contracts include an implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. So while the agreement may have been made just in jest, both parties expected the other to act fairly if good fortune ever came their way. After the lottery drawing on July 4th, Poirier didn't return home. After a while, her boyfriend put two and two together, realized that her lottery ticket was missing, then realized it was a winning lottery ticket number, and came to the final realization that she had run off with the $750,000 after tax winnings. After a month, she returned, but then refused to split the winnings with her boyfriend. 6 months later, Browning sued Poirier for breach of oral contract. Poirier disputed this allegation, stating numerous excuses, namely that they'd never agreed to split the winnings and that they'd ended the relationship months before even buying the tickets. Poirier also claimed that she was protected by Florida's statute of frauds, which states that an agreement that isn't able to be performed within a year must be reduced to writing to make it enforceable. And since Poirier had won the lotto 14 years after she and Browning made that verbal agreement, her attorney tried desperately to argue her case. During this process, the courts had to deem whether this contract was legal. In order to do this, the court had to figure out whether or not there was an agreement, consideration, contractual capacity, and finally, whether there was legality in creating this agreement. According to our textbook, the contract between Poirier and Browning was informal due to the fact that there was no formally written contract. Much like an informal contract, this contract can also be classified as an express oral contract due to the fact that the contract was strictly verbal and not written. Lastly, according to our textbook, the contract was also considered bilateral due to the fact that there is a promisor and promisee taking part in the agreement. So, what was the verdict? After much deliberation, the Florida 5th District Court of Appeal ruled in Poirier's favor in 2012. However, Browning not liking this ruling, and I don't blame him one bit, he appealed to the Supreme Court of Florida, and it was then decided that the verbal contract was a valid, enforceable contract because while it was true that the agreement hadn't been fulfilled within a year because they hadn't won yet, they could have won. Italicized could have. And that was a defining factor. With these facts in hand, the Supreme Court of Florida awarded a victory to Browning. However, here's the kicker. After all of that, no funds were awarded to Browning as Poirier filed bankruptcy a month later, claiming that she had spent all of the money.